Okay, so roll call question. What is something that you have learned so far this year as an RHA president that you would like to give as a piece of advice for an incoming RHA president? And if you have your newly elected president or a potential president, someone who's interested in running for the position here with you, also make sure that you note that during the roll call as well. But we'll start with the first X. And Alicia is going to be taking roll call. Alicia, do you want to call out the names or do you want me to?
Sorry, I just got kicked out, so I missed anything that happened.
We're starting with roll, so if you want to take roll call, that would be great.
Yeah, just call the school name and then I'll type.
Cool. Okay. Connor, SFA.
So I have my president-elect here, Lane. Wave around. There he is. Okay. But one thing that I think I've learned the most over this year is just to delegate and really lean upon your exec board, because we can't do everything on our own, and knowing that they're there for you and that, you know, putting that trust in them to do the things that they need to do and things like that. But I think delegation is something that I've been able to work on a lot, just because my schedule is crazy and I know all of our schedule is crazy, but knowing that I can't do it on my own. So.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Baylor.
Hey guys, it's Steven from Baylor. Something I've learned is that this is for the incoming presidents. There's a lot more work for you all on the regional level than you'll realize. So that's something I've learned.
Thank you. University of Arkansas, Fort Smith.
Hi guys, it's Justin from UAFS. So one thing I've definitely learned is to just be prepared to roll with the punches. Everything's not always going to go as planned. You know, just be prepared for the unexpected. So I guess my advice would be to expect the unexpected.
West Texas.
Hi, West Texas. I have my president-elect here with me, Tristan. And one thing that I've learned is don't get so caught up on quantity that you forget about quality. Sometimes it might be more important to have, you know, a lot of quality interactions than just, you know, as many interactions as possible.
LSU.
Not an exec board member. I mean, what am I saying? Oh my God. Okay, so not a president, but as an exec board member, I would say to be transparent with what you're doing or what you plan on doing to help build that path for communication and trust with your exec board.
Awesome. Thank you. Tarleton.
So I'm here with my NCC/vice president, who is for president next year, and she'll be getting out soon. Something I learned as RHA president is to find a way to make meetings fun, because you lose a lot of members that way. If meetings become a drag and a chore, find a way you can present people.
Awesome. Thank you. Centenary.
Well, I'm going to be the president next year, and so my current president isn't here. I'm here for her. And something I think we've actually both learned is trying to really put our name out there on campus, because a lot of people don't know who we are. So being transparent with them so they know like what we do for school.
Awesome. Thank you. UCA?
One of the most important things I learned this semester is that there is a lot more resources out there, especially within the region. There's a lot of presidents who have been through things that I've never been through before and dealt with different situations, and they really helped me out a lot.
Midwestern?
Yeah, I'm actually filling in for my president, but I think somebody mentioned what we have been talking about, which is learning your, just to like rely on your team members and knowing that you're in this together. I think it's really important to have connections with your entire organization. Yeah.
Texas Women's?
So something that I've learned this year is that you have to really truly be understanding and really work with your team members. A lot of times people think that they've said something or they thought that they planned ahead for something and they didn't. And you just have to sometimes take a step back and really recognize that you're all in it together and try and be personable with them and understand that even you have your faults and you make mistakes and that you can all work through whatever the issue is together.
Texas State?
Hi. So I'm actually the current vice president at Texas State, and I'm always proxying for Alicia since she's in the regional e-board. So so I come to this, but now I'm the president-elect. So now I'll be president and be doing this next year. I'm looking forward to working with you, Terrence. It's gonna be fun. And what I've learned is always manage your time, because there's a lot of stuff that you're doing, and always communicate with your team members.
And Tyler Junior College?
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, of course. So it's basically just what's one thing that you have learned this past year as RHA president that you would give as a piece of advice to an incoming president?
Be ready for anything. Like, that might sound very broad, but just prepare yourself because you don't really know what's going to happen. If you've never worked with any organization before. And communication, just communicate well with all of your team and your advisors and everyone. And talk to all of the RBD because they can help you a lot.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. So moving into old business, really the only piece of old business that I want to discuss is talk to your NCCs about legislation that has been passed. They've been passing a lot of legislation recently, and we still have 3 pieces of legislation to go. So just kind of talk with them, see what's been passed recently, what sorts of changes are happening on the regional level, if they haven't already been updating you about those things. So new business. For my updates for you all, I've been doing a lot of transitioning with Terrence. We've been working, and we will be working on writing a piece of legislation that basically restructures the COPR's duties and the bylaws. There's just a lot of things that I do that aren't reflected in the bylaws that should be, and a lot of new things that have been added specifically with conference programming, which is going to be the next thing I talk to you all about. Things that are changing, so we need to update those into the bylaws. So Terrence and I will be working on writing that piece of legislation. Next is, so I'm the chair of the Conference Programming Task Force for SOCUR, and basically we've just been going through and completely overhauling our entire conference programming to hit kind of the high points of everything we've been working on. It's been a lot, but basically high points are there is now going to be active versus billboard programming. The name for billboard programming is still somewhat flexible. The reasoning behind the name, and it's not just active and passive programming, but we decided to go with billboard programming, is because if you remember at this past regional business conference, it was all passive programming, but then there was also a track of passive programming called a passive. So because there was just a lot of using the same term, using the term passive to mean different things, we decided that the general type of programming where you have like a display board and you're not actively presenting that program, but it's just more of a display, that we would call that type of programming billboard programming, because it's like a billboard. It's kind of like a, here's your program. And then within that, there would be a track or category that was passive programming, which is a specific type of programming. Rubrics and evaluation forms. So we have already made rubrics and evaluation forms for programs. So now we're going to have set rubrics for what we're looking for in conference programming. Whenever the links to submit your program submission for the conference, whenever those get sent out, the rubrics will also be sent out with that. So that way you as a program presenter, you know what types of things that we're looking for in a program so that you can make sure that you include those things in your program submission. We realized that it wasn't necessarily fair to be selecting programs based off of the rubric without ever actually sharing that rubric with people. So we're going to make sure that that gets sent out, and it's going to be something that's consistent year to year. Hopefully that rubric doesn't change too drastically from year to year. And then there's going to be set evaluation forms also afterward. We're still working on the evaluation forms, but hopefully after each program that you attend, you fill out an evaluation form on it. And then the presenters will get that feedback so that they can continue to improve their program, whether it's their presentation style or the program materials itself or anything like that. They can continue to work on it and improve it. There's going to be a difference between programming at Regional Leadership Conference and programming at Regional Business Conference. So obviously these are two very, very different programs and require different programming styles at each. So because at RLC, there's the opportunity for active programming, the billboard programming will only be passive programs. So normally billboard programming, you could have either a display on an active program that you do on your campus, where you're basically just kind of describing the program, how you put it on, how it can be replicated at other universities, those types of things. A passive program should be a program in and of itself, something that just through the nature of the display board that you create, people are learning from it. So the example that I tend to give is a passive program is something like, on your display board, you have different statements about, like, let's say alcohol consumption, and it's myth or fact. So there can be a statement on a card that you then lift up the card and you can see on the inside if it's a myth or a fact. And if it is a myth, you can see what the actual fact behind it is. So you're actually learning something about alcohol consumption through just interacting with that display. That's a passive program. We will not be allowing you to just create a description of an active program that you do at Regional Leadership Conference, because you can do that through an active programming session. You can actually just present that information to an audience. So that's Regional Leadership Conference. At Regional Business Conference, we don't have the opportunity to present active programs. So all programming will be billboard programming at regional business conferences. So because of that, we will then have the different categories of, you can create just kind of like a display of a program that you do on your campus, how to put it on at another campus, that sort of stuff, kind of like this past year's regional business conference. And within that, there will be a track for passive programming as well. So tracks versus categories. In the past, we've only had programming tracks, and those were all those different categories that a program could be, like diversity track, leadership development track, sustainability track, those types of things. An idea that I got from attending SWCUHO, which is the basically the professional conference, so the conference that all of your professional housing staff members go to. An idea I got from them was having these different tracks be actually suited to the type of audience that you would be presenting toward. So we still have categories. Each program would have a category and a track that it's assigned to. Category is basically going to be more of the subject matter that you're covering in a program. So for instance, if I'm presenting a program on conflict management, that would probably fit more into the category of leadership development. But if I also am being more intentional with that program, and I'm saying I want to present this program for just general membership, like nobody in particular, it can be a new member, it can be an exec member, it can be an NRHH member, it doesn't matter, just very basic level conflict management, then I would also set it to be that programming track. So that way people know, oh, this is going to be tailored to just very base level, anybody can go to this. If I want to tailor my program to an exec board member though, I might not just do generic conflict management. I might do more how to develop your skills on moderating conflict, being a mediator for that, how to resolve conflict in your organization. Those types of things are things that exec board members would use. But if you're a new member or just a general member in an RHA, you probably don't need to attend that session because it doesn't really apply to you. So being more intentional with who you want your audience to be and how you can tailor your program to that audience so they get the most out of the program is where the tracks idea came from. So the idea behind all of that is just trying to be more intentional with our conference programming and making sure that our conference delegates are getting the most out of what they can get behind the program. So new member certification, again, another idea taken from SWCUHO. What this basically is we're thinking about creating a pamphlet. And on one side of the pamphlet, it has all of our new member track programs. So all of those programs specifically designed for new members. New RHA members, it might be, you know, what is NRHH? Because you're new to RHA, maybe you don't even know what NRHH is. It might be Intro to SWCUR or NCUR 101 or something like that. All of those types of programs just for new members. Those will all be listed on one side. Then another side will be more about experiences. So it might be attending the dance party at the end of the conference. It might be participating or like presenting a program. It might be all these different things, maybe meeting the keynote speaker after they speak, participating in roll call, like all those different types of conference experiences that a new member can get. And so you'll get a number of program points and a number of experience points. And once you get the certain amount of points that we set for each of those, then you're considered a new member certification. And at the awards banquet, we'll have all the certificates printed off and you'll be new member certified, basically. So it's just a way of creating more opportunities for our generic delegates at conferences. Because what we learned from our mid-year assessment is that general conference delegates who aren't in boardroom want to be, I guess, more interacted with. They don't want to just go to programs and that's it. They want a little something extra. Because the people who go to boardroom, you get a lot of duties and responsibilities and you're doing a lot at conferences. So this is a way of kind of engaging some of those just general conference delegates as well. Another thing is incorporating moderators into the programming rooms. So what this would be is an opportunity for, again, general conference delegates to be able to sign up to be a moderator for certain programs. So let's say before the conference, you already know that you want to attend Conference X, or Program X, Program Y, and Program Z. You can sign up to be moderators for those programs. So you still get to participate in the program and see what it's about and attend it, but you're also going to be a moderator. So you go to the room, 10 minutes before, you meet the program presenter, you introduce yourself to them, you make sure that they have everything they need. If they need help with something, you help them get whatever they need set up, AV, whatever it is. You would then introduce that program presenter. And at the end, you would document how many people were actually in the room and attended the program, and then turn that back in to the conference headquarters. This is so that not only do we get more help for our program presenters, because if any of you have ever presented a program, it's nice having someone in the room who can kind of help you set up everything and make sure everything's good. But also, whenever we have the actual number of people who attended the program, we can then cross-reference that with the number of evaluations that we received about that program. So if on the moderator sheet, it says that 10 people attended the program, but we only received 3 evaluation forms for the program, then we know that not enough of our program attendees are filling out the evaluation forms at the end. So we can, throughout the years and throughout the conferences, continually try to work on increasing that number. And the last thing that we're going to be discussing, which I think is going to be a continued discussion, I don't think we're done with that yet, is how to most fairly calculate top 10 programming. This is definitely something that a lot of the task force participants felt very strongly about, and it's definitely something I felt very strongly about. With top 10, there's just a lot of factors that can and do go into choosing top 10. So it's definitely a conversation that's being had. Before I go into RBD updates, that was a lot. Does anyone have any questions about all of the programming changes that the task force is looking at making? Yeah, Nick.
What would you say that?
So my president-elect was just wondering, when are you guys thinking like these would go into effect?
So these would be put into effect for RLC 2017. Any other questions? Okay, if y'all think of questions, there's definitely open forum at the end. So just jot them down and make sure you ask them at the end. Moving into just general RBD updates. It's now a new fiscal year for the region and for NACUR. So Kaisha and Patrick were working on closing out our previous fiscal year 17, and closing that budget and starting off our new fiscal year 2018 budget. So we're now operating with our new budget that was approved at an NCC chat about a month ago. So we're operating under that budget now. So yay. ADNRHH applications will be open. So there was a process where people could have submitted bids for the ADNRHH position. However, that closed, I believe, last week or the week before, and no bids were submitted for the position. So there's now going to be just an application period. So instead of creating a full bid and everything, it's just an application. That will be sent out within a day or two. Kaylee is currently working on that, and those are due April 23rd by midnight. So if you are interested in applying for ADNRHH, if you have an NRHH on your campus, let them know. We really need someone to fill the position of ADNRHH. It is an important position for our region. It is one of the most important positions for our region, right underneath director. So please, if someone on your campus, just start a conversation, see if anyone is interested. It is not a huge time commitment. It is not this impossible position that, oh, I could never do that. Trust me, it is manageable. You just have to have passion for NRHH, and everything else will just come. So if you have any questions about it, or if anyone on your campus has questions about it, feel free to send them our way. We're more than happy to help, but we definitely need an AD in RHH. So yes, that's important. The Leadership Development Task Force is now over, and they've come up with a lot of great leadership development initiatives for next year. If you have questions about those or want to know what those are, you can stay on at the end of the chat and I can let you know. But Patrick is the person for the region who is in charge of our leadership development initiatives. So you can always talk to Patrick about those. If leadership development is a passion of yours and you would like to get involved with that, definitely reach out to Patrick as well. NCUR Prep Task Force is getting ready for the annual conference. They're creating spirit packs, which if you're going to the annual conference, your delegation has the opportunity to purchase those. They'll have SWCR swag and different stuff in the spirit packs, which we'll know what stuff is included in that in about a month. And they're also working on our roll call video that we're going to play during the annual conference. So look out for those types of things. Is there anything that you all would like for me to bring back to the RBD? Any questions, comments, concerns with the region that you would like for me to relay back to them? All right. So for NCUR updates, NCUR Pen Day is April 15th. It's a Saturday. And for Pen Day, what you do is you wear a NCUR pen or a regional pen if you don't have a NCUR pen to basically just celebrate NCUR. And what we ask is that on the 15th, if you're wearing your NCUR pen, to just take a picture, post to social media, use the hashtag NCUR Pen Day. And basically just kind of talk about how NCUR or SWCR has had an impact on you, how you've had an impact on SWCR or NCUR. Just share your experiences. And I hope that they're all have been good experiences and that you're able to kind of reflect on those and share positive moments from your experience with NCUR and with SWCR. I know I definitely have plenty. I will be posting up a storm on the 15th. It's spring break and I ain't got nothing to do, so it's gonna be good lit. NCUR important dates. So the 4-year service applications are due May 1st, and basically what that is if you've been involved with RHA and or NRHH on your campus for 4 years, and you have been to at least one NCUR annual conference, you basically are eligible for a 4-year service award. So yeah, if you have questions about that, if you think that you are eligible, if you don't know if you're eligible, you still aren't clear on what that is, stay on afterwards and we can definitely talk about it. The NCUR Annual Conference Scholarship is due April 22nd, and it's a $1,000 scholarship to help with registration for the conference. So if your school and your organization is wanting to attend the annual conference, which I definitely suggest that you all do, it is an amazing experience, an amazing opportunity. But finances are definitely tight, which I know in our region, a lot of schools are going through some financial, constraints where you can't always go to all the conferences that you want to be able to go to. There is a $1,000 scholarship for it. So talk with your advisors, look over the scholarship, what's required with the application process and everything, and really look into it because finances should not hinder you from being able to go to the annual conference. If you have questions about that, you can talk with Patrick. Akuhoai Stars College Honorarium is also due April 22nd. So if you are sending someone from your university to attend Stars College, which if you don't know what Stars College is, you're probably not sending someone. But if you have someone on your campus who is attending Stars College, there are 4 $200 scholarships that will help defray some of the costs of that program for that person. If you don't know if you are hosting someone to attend Stars College, ask your advisor. because they have to get school support to attend Stars College. So someone in your department definitely knows if you are or are not sending someone for Stars College. But yeah, there's also scholarships for that. NCUR 2017 individual bids are due April 25th. So if you have an individual bid, so not a collective group like RHA of the Year or something like that, but something specific like RHA President of the Year, those bids to the NCUR level are due April 25th. And if you are a regional winner, you have to tell Kaisha if you are submitting the award to the NCUR level in order to receive your letter of support. She has told me to make that very clear. If you do not ask her to write you a letter of support for that bid, she will not write it. So if you are submitting a bid to the NCUR level that won on the regional level and you would like a regional letter of support for the bid, you have to ask Kaisha. And I would do so sooner rather than later because she has a lot that she is working on right now. So the sooner that you can ask her and give her enough time to be able to write that letter, the better the letter will be. So definitely do that. And then just some things about the NCUR 2017 annual conference. Registration closes April 7th. Late registration closes the 14th with a $10 add-on per person that you're registering. So make sure that you're checking with your NCCs and that they are on top of everything for the annual conference registration. Program submission, so if you're attending the annual conference and you'd like to submit a program, that is due April 14th. You can find, these are all linked here in the minutes, but you can also find all this information on the annual conference website. If you go to ncur.org, from there, there's a conferences page button that you can click and it takes you to the annual conference website. And then lastly, the annual conference philanthropy. Pre-conference philanthropy is collecting pop tabs from soda cans. They're in the Midwest, they say pop, I know it's weird. But basically the little just like metal tabs on soda cans, they're collecting those. So if you're going to the annual conference, start collecting those, saving those. You could do something with your residence halls where you have just like tab can collectors and the hall that has the most tabs, you know, by a certain date when some award or prize or something. Or you can collect canned food items. Just remember that with canned food items, if you're flying, you have to fit those in a bag. If you're doing a separate bag, you have to check that bag and it can only be 50 pounds or less. So keep all of those things in mind as you're collecting these things. If you are going to ship them separately and like just package them in a box and ship them there, they have a website they have an address on the website. Is there anything that you all want me to bring up to the NCUR level? Any questions that you have, comments, concerns about anything going on in NCUR world? Awesome. Okay, for resources, I've created a transition resource folder for you all. It's in the shared presidents folder under resources and then transition resources. Within that folder, there's a PDF copy of the NCUR leadership transition report guide. So we have to write transition reports, and the guide for that I've put in that folder because it's just very helpful. It outlines everything that we're gonna have to include in our transition reports. And I think that that's a very good guide for you all to use as well. So definitely feel free to use that. There's also a PDF copy of the SWCR RBD transition report guide from a few years ago. Again, that is also very helpful. You can utilize that. And then there's a Word doc of an actual RHA president transition report from Ty Kruger. Ty was the NRHH advisor for the past few years. And he sent that to me last year for presidents, and I'm continuing to use it again for this year. So it was his actual transition report from whenever he was an RHA president in undergrad. And if you know Ty Kruger at all, he is absolutely amazing whenever it comes to these things. So it is a beautiful transition report. Look through that. It'll give you ideas. You can use that as a template. Like, use these resources. They're there for you to use. And I've also created that folder for strategic planning, which y'all were talking about in the GroupMe. So there is a folder for strategic plans in the shared folder as well. Conference updates. So, okay. So we're gonna have a little discussion period here. So I know y'all haven't been too talkative, but we're about to get super talkative again. And I feel like Toby's in the library, so I don't know how talkative you can be, but yeah, okay. So on-site staff bids for RLC 2017 are due tomorrow by midnight. So you still have time if you are interested in being the on-site team. What that means, because we haven't gotten any applications to be on-site staff. And I just want to explain a little bit more what it means to be on-site staff. It does not mean that you are hosting the conference on your campus. It means that we will be selecting a conference location near your campus. So if there is a conference center, a hotel, some space that we can use for the conference that is near your school so that everyone on your staff can feasibly drive there and actually see the location whenever you need to. That's what it means to be on-site staff. Your institution is in no way affiliated with hosting the conference. The region is who is hosting the conference because it is a neutral host site. That means your institution does not have to pay a cent to put on this conference. So if finances are the problem, you can tell your department that you will not have any financial responsibilities for this conference. On-site staff simply means that you are close enough to the conference site to be able to go there and see it. That is it. The positions that deal with on-site staff are positions that would probably need to be able to see the site, such as conference chair, finance chair, facilities chair, those types of things. Those are all part of on-site staff. If you have questions about that, or if you feel like you really want to be on-site staff and you have a lot of members in your organization who would be a part of that, all you need are 6 members and 1 advisor to be the conference advisor. That's it. That's on-site staff. If you have those numbers, but you just need a little more time convincing your department to give you support, let us know and we can extend that for you. We can give you the time that you need to get it together if you're serious about being on-site staff. Also, if you're like, hey Connor, we have a conference advisor and we have 4 people that would be on-site staff, but we don't have the full 6. That's okay too. We would rather have a partial on-site staff team than no on-site staff team. So if this is something that you are potentially just considering, you just need to run it by some people one more time, please do, because this is very, very important. If we do not have an on-site staff, what will happen is all of the positions, the conference staff positions, will be off-site positions. So the regional board will pick a facility for the conference that is completely independent of any schools. And all of the positions that host the conference, it doesn't matter what school you're from, it's kind of a free-for-all. It's an application period that anybody from any institution can apply for any position. The only catch is that the conference chair and the conference advisor have to be from the same school. If that happens as well, the cost for attending the conference next year will become even more high because the region will have to pay for all 14, 15 positions to travel to the conference site, as opposed to 1 school and then 6 different schools. So because everybody would be from all separate universities, that increases our travel cost. So the cost for attending the conference will go up as well. So we really, really want to have an on-site team. So what we're going to have a discussion about real quick is what things are preventing your school from bidding for an on-site team. Also, so that's going to be the discussion we're having now. After that, we're going to have a more general discussion on what things are preventing your schools from bidding for conferences in general, which we've already kind of had a discussion about at RBC, but just real quick, being able to jot down some points of why schools are hesitant about hosting conferences. So first, what things are preventing your schools from bidding for an on-site team? You can put an X in the chat. Yeah, Tarleton?
Yeah, so for us, I think we're already having enough issues trying to find members who want to be a part of the exec board next year, and finding more people that would want to host a conference would be even more to kind of, I don't know, finesse and get them excited about. So we're having it, like I said, just kind of focusing on at-home stuff. And I don't think we can draw the interest from our members to want to do that.
Okay. Tyler Junior College?
Honestly, last week I talked to my advisor at one of our programs we were holding, and I don't think she quite understood me, because she kept saying that we don't have enough space, which we don't. But for on-site, it would be like at one of the hotels we have down the street, because we are a college town and there's 3 different colleges in this one city. There are enough hotels, and I don't think she was quite grasping what I was telling her. So I'm still working on that, and I think that's the only problem we're having is her understanding.
Okay. Any other reasons for why your school could not, and if it's one of the same reasons, but it just also applies to your school, that's cool too. Why can't your school be an on-site team? SFA.
So I've talked to some of like our incoming executive officers, and we're interested in doing it. We just have a problem with getting support from the department. There's one individual that we have to go and talk to get like the letter and the support, and we just can't. But we're still working on that. So like you said that like if we needed some more time or whatever to let you know, and we're working on that. So yeah, our problem is just like getting support from the department.
Okay. West Texas.
Okay, so my president-elect and I were just kind of talking about this. When it comes down to leadership conference and the on-site staff, we kind of, our issue in a way is kind of Canyon, Texas. It's kind of the area. We don't have any good facilities in this town for it. And so we were kind of hoping like someone with better facilities might end up stepping up. And we talked about more in the future, maybe hosting like a business conference, because we do have facilities on campus. So if we did a leadership conference, it just have a really small application cap. So I don't know. We've kind of talked about it, but it's kind of a mixture of facilities not being here in Canyon. And we do have facilities, but then we're a small university, so it kind of combination of the two, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. And Tyler Junior College and Fort Smith both said same. So some things that I wrote notes on. Your staff team does not have to be affiliated with your RHA. So if you have questions about or concerns about, basically your whole conference team would be your RHA exec board. And so you can't do it because you need to focus on your RHA, and that would just disrupt how your RHA functions. I totally agree with you. The conference team, being conference team should not impact the effectiveness of your RHA. But your conference staff can be made up of RAs. your conference staff could be made up of grads, like graduate hall directors and stuff. They could be made up of NRHH members. Like, it does not have to pull from the leaders of your RHA to form a staff of on-site conference staff. Also, if you're having difficulties with administrators in your department and you feel like having someone from the regional board explain to them and talk through some of their worries with them, even like our advisors who are professionals at their own institutions. Emily Davis, the regional advisor, she was a conference advisor before. So they've done this, and they're administrators themselves. So they know what administrators are kind of wary of. They can help talk through those types of things as well. So if you feel like you are wanting additional support for that, and that having the regional board provide that support for you would help, let us know. We'd be more than happy to. And then a lot of people, it sounds like a lot of people see hosting a regional business conference as like a stepping stone. Like, you have to host a regional business conference before you can host a leadership conference to like test the water, see if you can handle it, because leadership is seen as like, regional leadership conference is seen as like so much more intense than regional business conference. I will say that it's part of the strategic plan to extend regional business conference by a day. So they're going to be the same amount of time, just within about a year or two. And also, if you need regional leadership conference to be a smaller conference in order for your school to host it, that's possible too. We've had a couple of just insanely large regional leadership conferences in the past few years. We can start working that down, because it's kind of gotten to a point where only a few schools in our region are actually big enough to support that type of conference. So if we need to start working that down so that regional leadership conferences are more manageable for more schools in the region, that can happen too. I just need y'all to say that, like, hey, these presidents say that they need more manageable conferences. If it's a more manageable conference size, then they could look at hosting it. Because without y'all saying it, we're just kind of guessing that that's what it is. Oh, bye, Stephen. So yeah, cool. Nick, you had something else?
Yeah, I was just going to mention too, one other thing that came up recently, we were kind of talking about it, and then we actually right now are kind of undergoing a big transition period for like our res living, because our old director left and now we're getting a new director, and so like that whole thing kind of contributed a bit too. But I think, like you said, the delegation cap size thing, I think that is kind of also a thing too. And like we were back like a while ago before you kind of talked about it, I was in that same mindset of like leadership conference had to be like, you know, substantial and like huge, because that's like what we're used to. So yeah.
Okay. We're going to skip a conversation on hosting conferences in general, because I feel like we've kind of talked about that already. So looking within the next week, so let's say no one bids for on-site staff tomorrow, or at least lets us know, hey, can we get a couple days extension to be able to pull something together? If no one does that tomorrow, then what's going to happen is all of our positions will become off-site staff positions. What can we do to help encourage people in the region to apply for an off-site staff position? Because we have not had luck at all with the on-site positions. What can we do to entice people to apply for those leadership positions? And again, I do know that this is different because you would be applying as an individual. You don't have to get a full team together. You would still need host support from your school. So your school say, yes, I support this student in applying for this position, but it's still needing to get support for stuff. So what can we do to kind of help entice leaders in the region to run for these positions? Yeah, SFA.
Honestly, I don't feel like it's the students that don't want to do it. I feel like it's the administration that's not allowing us to do it. I know I can't speak for everyone, but I know that that's the problem that we're having is the students are wanting to do it, and we're going to our advisors and the faculty members, and they're just telling us no for whatever reason. So I don't, like I said, as far as like enticing the students, I don't really feel like there's anything that you can do because the students are wanting to, but it's just, how can we entice the faculty members to let the students do it?
Okay. It would be really helpful if y'all could get a list of exactly why administrators are saying no, and get that to us, because then once we actually know what the barriers are, we can start working with administrators on overcoming those barriers. So if we can get an actual list of like, what are all the reasons why administrators aren't letting students take on these regional leadership positions, then we can start working on those. So that would be super helpful. Tyler Junior College.
Same as what Lane said, really. Just maybe, well, I guess like you explained to us just now about the on-site, and you have in the group messages as well, just like being super clear and concise on what exactly it means and what it takes for everybody. Just like maybe, I don't know if we can, like maybe in like the weekly newsletter or something like that, because everyone gets that and everybody can see what it means. I don't know, just a way for it to get out to everybody and it being very clear and concise. Like even if advisors get emails about it and stuff like that. I don't know if that makes sense. My head's all groggy, but
so instead of just saying all of these things in chats, have what we're saying outlined in the regional newsletter as well, and like things that get sent out every week.
Exactly, because you could be saying it to us and we could say it to our advisors. And like with mine, maybe I'm just not being as clear with her as say someone else could be.
Okay.
Or she's not seeing exactly, because like I was trying to show her the day you were, I guess it was last week, the day you were sending us all of the group me messages, like I was getting them all right there next to her, and I was like, see, this is what he's saying, and she wasn't like really seeing, like, you know, because we're doing other things, and she was like, okay, yeah, but maybe if she like had it in her face when she's reading her emails or something like that, like you have to look at it, maybe she would be more open. I don't know. She's really open anyways. But.
So emails to advisors.
Mm-hmm.
UCA. Just same, kind of echoing what everyone else had said.
Yeah, I've talked to the administration about it, and no, they really haven't given me a clear answer on why they were saying no. I even talked to them about hosting the leadership conference and saying that, you know, it could be downsized, we can do it at a hotel. But for some reason, you know, they kept saying no. Okay. But I'm going to see if I can get a list for you exactly why this week.
Yeah, for all of you, if you could all get lists from your advisor, from your administration, whoever it is, just actual like bullet points. What are the actual reasons for why your school cannot host a conference? That would be incredibly helpful for us. So if all of you could get that for me, that would be amazing. Okay, so real quick, because I do want to be mindful of your time. RBC 2018 host site selection will be done. So we didn't have anyone bid for RBC 2018 at this past RBC. So bids will be due May 12th by 11:59 p.m. And the conference host site will be selected at NACUR. So start, like, if you get told no for regional leadership or something, start having those conversations with your advisors and with your administration and with student leaders for next year. Start having conversations now about RBC 2018, because that conference is completely on the table. RLC 2018 as well, that's on the table. Like, if you're being told no now, start looking ahead. Even if you won't be at your institution, you won't be on your campus, whatever, for when the conference actually happens, start having those conversations now. And people who are freshmen this year can hear you having those conversations. They'll get passionate about it. And then by the time that they're sophomores, juniors, seniors, they might actually be the ones putting on a conference at your school. So start having conversations now, particularly about RBC 2018, but even after that. Find a conference that you feel like, talk with your advisor, talk with your administration, see what might be a feasible conference for you, and then start planning for it. So yeah. Upcoming dates and deadlines, real quick, that I want to point out to you. A lot of these are already mentioned in the minutes. Tomorrow, RLC 2017 on-site bids are due. This Thursday, the 6th, we have a duck crossing on branding and marketing. Real quick, 3 people. We have had terrible attendance at our duck crossings this year. What is keeping people from coming to duck crossings? Are the topics not very important to you? Do you feel like it's not interactive enough and you want more interaction with it? Are the times bad? What is wrong with duck crossings that we can improve upon for next year? Even if you don't know for your whole institution, like you personally, what is keeping you from attending a duck crossing? So the timing of it, there's other things going on. And honestly, you will not hurt my feelings. Like, duck crossings can be improved. So if you were literally just straight up like, it's boring and I got better stuff to do with my life, like Netflix, like that's a legit answer too. Two more. What are the 2 other things besides the timing of them that are wrong with duck crossings? If you don't even know what a duck crossing is, that's something that's wrong with duck crossings. Like, that's something. Yeah, SFA.
So, like, I've heard of duck crossings, but like my problem personally is I don't really get much information about when they are or what the topics are. So if there was a way that like on like a social media page or something like that for the region, like I think I've seen it like once or twice this year, but if we could make that like a regular thing, that way even like our marketing person on our campus could also share that on our page and possibly get our members to tune in. I feel like that's something that could help get more people out. It's just like advertising them.
And it is on the regional calendar on our regional website, but we don't necessarily advertise that there's a calendar that has all of these dates and times there. So it might be just the fact of like advertising the fact that there's a calendar that could help. Okay, one more. So timing, advertising. The faster you tell me something, the faster we can end the chat. Yeah, Nick.
I was just gonna mention one thing I did notice on the last one was you know how you post like all the president's chats in the GroupMe calendar? Maybe if you put the duck crossings in the GroupMe calendar too, if like Kaisha did and NCC one and you did in the president's one, that might help. Personally, I saw it in the newsletters. I knew it was happening, but I think maybe like some people like might not have seen it and they forgot about it, and maybe like an automatic reminder from GroupMe might have helped or something. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So then there's a bunch of NCUR deadlines. Our next Coffee with the Copper is on April 18th at 8 p.m. So look forward to that. It is going to be our last one, so yay. Then the next day, April 19th, is the last NCUR President's Roundtable. That's going to be awesome. The topic is RHA, a case study. So basically, like, you get to, and I know y'all love doing this, you get to talk about your RHA and just like what you do. So what is your structure like? What's your purpose? What types of exec positions do you have? What does your constitution look like? Do you get compensated? Like XYZ, what types of programs do you put on? Like legit anything and everything that you could say about your RHA, good, bad, ugly, that's what we're going to talk about. So make sure that you put that on your calendars and you come out for that. And then some more NCUR information. So there's a lot going on in April. Make sure that you keep all of that together. Yes. And then the last thing, just general, make sure that your NCCs show up to the next NCC chat, or they send a proxy, and that proxy can be you. The chat is April 13th at 7 p.m. It's a Thursday. And it's super important because so the NCCs have been voting on legislation. In order to vote on legislation, we need to meet quorum of our entire region, which is 2/3 of our region, which is 25 schools. We have not been meeting that number for many, many, many meetings, and we need to vote on legislation. So please keep on top of your NCCs, let them know that there is a meeting, let them know that it is important that they are attending and representing your school and doing their jobs. And if they cannot, help them get a proxy. If you can make the meeting, offer a proxy for them. If you can't make the meeting and they can't make the meeting, try to help them find a proxy, someone who can. It's so important that we get all of our member schools attending these meetings because a lot of important stuff is discussed. And the only way that we can get better as a region is if all of you are attending things and giving us input on them. Cool. So now open forum. Does anyone have anything to say or any snaps to give to someone from your institution, to give to someone else in the region? I want to hear at least 3 snaps or some question that you have because it's open forum. At least 3 things. Yeah, Nick.
Hey, so snaps to my entire executive board that's in the room with me right now. Everybody say hi. Roderick, say hi.
Hi.
Preston, Lillian. Ignore him. Yeah, he's like a honorary member or something like that.
Hello.
And then the bunny rabbit's not here right now, but he's an honorary member.
Keep it hopping.
We just got back from movies.
That's awesome. Thank you all for, I guess, being here. SFA.
Shout out to, or snaps, to Lane for being here. I told him like last minute to come to this chat, but for being here and for speaking up. So
Definitely. And congratulations on all of the newly elected presidents that are here. That's awesome. Tyler Junior College.
I have a question, and
Yes.
it pertains to the caps that go to the NCUR or to NCUR.
Okay.
We are not going. I've asked this question before, but we are not going. But we have a lot of caps that we have been saving for this, just because we want to give. And we were wondering if we could give it to a school in Dallas that is going, or a school, if we could know what schools are going, so we could give them, or do we just ship them because we're not going? Like how?
So there's lots of opportunities. Once the conference registration closes completely on April 14th, we'll be able to tell you what schools are registered to go to the conference and which ones are closest to you. So that way, if you want to give it to them, they can do it. If you're looking at Dallas, like if Dallas is close for you, our NRHH advisor, Sarah Amberson, she is at UT Dallas. So you could just give them to her and she can bring them for you. Also, there is a address on the website for Purdue. So if you want to just mail them to Purdue, you can do that as well. Whatever's easiest for you, I can help with that.
Thank you, Connie.
Yeah, of course. And Tarleton.
Snack president who had to leave it because he is running for student body president for next year.
Yes. Good luck to Mason for that. That was awesome. Okay, so that is it. I will be staying on after this chat. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to talk about anything, I will be here. Yes. Terrence, if you could stay on for a little bit. I feel like there was something I needed to tell you, but I'm forgetting it. So yeah. But thank you all for coming out tonight. You are all incredibly amazing. You all get 50 copper coins because I love you. And thank you for coming. Good night.